There are only 4 teams left in the Champions League as we have finally reached the semi-finals, and we are one step closer to seeing who is going to be the winners of the 2025 Champions League. And in today's video, I'm going to be predicting the results for the first leg matches in the semi-finals. Arsenal versus PSG and Barcelona against Inter are the 2 games that I'm going to be predicting in today's video. And obviously, if you do agree with my predictions, remember to leave a comment down below. But if you disagree with my predictions and you think there may be a few different results than to what I said, remember to leave your predictions down below and I'll be sure to reply to every single comment. I think both of these matchups are very tight, and realistically any team could go through. So without further ado, let's get right into these predictions. Starting off with the first match, we have Arsenal against PSG. I want to start off with PSG because I think that they're having a very underrated season. At the start of the season, they weren't really performing that good. We all remember in the league phase where they did not do good and they were so close to being knocked out in the first round of games, which would have been absolutely crazy. But obviously they did just manage to squeeze through as they beat Manchester City 4-2. And in my opinion, in the knockout stages so far, they have been arguably the best team. Let's not forget that PSG are the only team left in Europe that still have not lost a game in their domestic league. In the Liga, at the current time of recording this video, they have played 30 games, they have won 24 of those games and drawn 6 of those games, with still having 0 losses, which is very impressive. And it's very impressive to see how much Luis Enrique has done to this team, because they are a very young squad. If you look at their attack, their midfield, and even the defense, they have loads of young, fairly inexperienced players. So the way that Luis Enrique has been able to get these players to play well together and have so much chemistry between them is very nice to see. Now, in my honest opinion, I think PSG have probably the most underrated attacking and midfield lineups in Europe, because if you look at their attack with Dembele, Barcola, Doué, and even now Kvaratskhelia, their attacking lineup is very good. But even their midfield with João Neves, Fabian Ruiz, and Vitinha, it's very good. There's a lot of great passing in that midfield, a lot of great dribblers, and in my opinion, the way that they can transition from defense to attack so quickly is very good, and they could definitely catch Arsenal on the counter-attack. But in my opinion, it will be very tough for PSG, because as we know, Arsenal have been one of the best teams defensively so far this season. In my opinion, the 2 strongest teams defensively this season has been Arsenal and Inter Milan. Both of these teams, their center backs, their full backs, their goalkeepers have been absolutely incredible. But the one problem with Arsenal is that Gabriel, who in my opinion is their best defender, will not be playing in this game as he is injured for the rest of the season. Now, we did also see him miss their last game against PSG, in which Cuellar was the replacement, and he did pretty good, much better than what a lot of people expected. But in this game against PSG, with how fast and how incredible their attack is, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to keep Arsenal at that level that they've been this whole season. Now, if Arsenal can defend very well in this game, then I think they can definitely shut down PSG. And we saw against Aston Villa in PSG's last Champions League game where they had moments of greatness, and especially at the start of the game, they were very good. But towards the end of the game and later on in the second half, Aston Villa were clearly the better team and they were dominating PSG. So if Arsenal can silence PSG like Aston Villa did in that second half, then I do think Arsenal, with the home advantage, can definitely win this game. But I think PSG are a very strong team, and that will be very tough for Arsenal. Another negative for Arsenal is that Thomas Partey is currently suspended and he will not be playing this game, which does make them more susceptible to counterattacks and allows PSG to have more freedom in the middle of the pitch without that defensive-minded midfielder. Obviously, Arsenal were very impressive against Real Madrid in both the first and the second leg, and especially in that first leg, we saw what they're able to do with the home advantage. But recently, they didn't perform that well against Crystal Palace, where they drew 2-2, and in this game against PSG, with some of their injured and suspended players, I think PSG may be able to get the better of Arsenal. Now, I don't think PSG will be able to win this game. I think with the home advantage, Arsenal will still be very strong at the back, but I think PSG will be able to get a draw from this game, and they'll have it all to play in the second leg. So for that reason, I'm going to predict a 1-1 draw. Moving on to the second match in the semi-final games, we have Barcelona against Inter. I think that this is going to be a very interesting match. I think both of these teams are complete opposites. I think Inter Milan have been arguably the best defensive team so far this season alongside Arsenal, whereas Barcelona, in my opinion, has been probably the best attacking team this season alongside the likes of Liverpool and PSG. Now, both of these teams are currently dealing with a few injuries throughout their lineup, but in Barcelona's recent match, we saw Robert Lewandowski pick up a slight hamstring injury, which may put him out for this game, which would be a big loss for Barcelona. I think that the main decider in this game is whether or not Barcelona can defend Inter Milan's counterattack, because obviously we've seen multiple times this season that Barcelona are very susceptible to counterattacks as they play with a very high line. And we saw in the second leg against Dortmund, where Dortmund were playing at home, they won that game 3-1 and Barcelona did not perform good at all. So they do have some of these off games, but for the majority of games, they do play very, very well. They're very compact, and I think they definitely have the upper hand in this game. I already know how Inter Milan are going to play. They're playing away from home, and I think that they're going to play very similar to how they did against Bayern Munich in the first leg, where they didn't dominate possession, they didn't have too many shots, but they're mainly looking for that counter-attack. They defend very well, very compact for most of the game, and then when they get their chance, they take them. So if Barcelona can defend these counterattacks, then Barcelona can win this game. But if Inter Milan defend Barcelona's attack and they're able to get through on those counterattacks, then I think Inter Milan could definitely come away with a draw. Even though I mentioned that Inter Milan have been arguably the best defensive team so far this season, in recent matches, they have not been performing good at all. Within their last 3 matches, they have not picked up a win. We saw them draw 2-2 in the Champions League against Bayern Munich, then they lost 1-0 against Bologna at home, and more recently in the Coppa Italia, they lost 3-0 at home against AC Milan. It's not very likely that Inter Milan concede more than 1 or 2 goals, but we have seen multiple times this season in certain competitions, whether that be the Serie A or the Coppa Italia, that they have conceded more goals, where we've seen them concede 3 or even 4 goals in certain games. But even though Inter's defense has not been that good in recent games, Barcelona's attack has also been lacking in a few of their recent games, where we saw them lose 3-1 against Dortmund and they did not do very good, and also in their more recent game against Mallorca, where they were only able to score 1 goal. And obviously with Lewandowski missing this game due to injury, it just weakens their attack even more. So in my opinion, it seems like in recent weeks, both of these teams have been struggling a little bit, so I think it will be very, very close in this game. But as for my prediction, I think Barcelona still has the upper hand. They're playing at home. Inter Milan have been very shaky at the back within their last few matches, so for that reason, I'm going to predict that Barcelona will win this game 2-1. And that is the end of my Champions League predictions for the first leg matches in these semi-final games. If you guys agree with my predictions, remember to leave a comment down below. But if you disagree with my predictions and you think there may be a couple upsets, remember to leave your predictions down below and I'll be sure to reply to every single comment. Obviously, these are only predictions and there's definitely a high chance that I get both games wrong. But obviously, these videos are only for entertainment purposes. So if you do enjoy these predictions and you're excited for my next predictions, you're excited for my Europa League predictions, remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and stay tuned for more videos.